Welcome to the Auditing and Sandy Newscast endorsed by Tom Robertson. I'm Jim Finch and I'll be your host for a story on Jose Chile DeCastro, a story on Floyd Wallace, a look at the GoFundMe markets, and then not one but two special flashback stories for the day. I just want to say thank you to our personal friend and supporter Tom Robertson. Tom Robertson is one of the greatest fans online and supports us with encouraging comments every day. Like, what a horrible voice, and your mom sounded better when she was moaning at me last night. Well, he claims that we can't hear him over the silence of our supporters, and he would rather hear the sounds of a code talker copulating with a 1943 Hoover vacuum cleaner than listen to my voice. We just know it's words of love, and that he loves us so. Also, Tom, in a gesture of good luck and friendship, we'd like to tell you it wasn't our mother who was moaning when you took her out last night. You were tricked. It was the Hoover vacuum cleaner dressed up as a real girl. Yes, you took the mother of all code talkers out and had a blast. On this strange and unsettling note, we're going to dive right into the unsettling news of the day. GoFundMe last-minute donation saves DeCastro. A last-minute donation of $200 along with a $20 donation earlier in the day saw Jose Chile DeCastro's Justice for All legal battle for accountability take the day with $220 in total donations, beating out everyone else, including our ongoing expenses account. The $220 from two donors, one posted a mere 48 minutes ago, gave DeCastro a gain for the day, but makes us questionable about DeCastro's goal of reaching $100,000, throwing a grand party for all of his fans in Las Vegas to celebrate himself, invent a de-aging remedy, cure his high blood pressure so he doesn't drop dead of a heart attack in the next 10 years, or maybe, just maybe, kiss a girl out of love and not screw it up with an obnoxious comment and a slap from a feminine hand before she takes his last $50. Allegedly. The market is a mess. Our own decline for the day can be put on our hate watchers seeing our take from Monday and thinking we're well off enough to be punished to write this column until the end of time. Well, Haiti McHaterson, it isn't. It was a one-time fluke, and I'm quietly eyeballing goose eggs again as it's too hot, and these people are too lame to do anything at all to promote their campaigns. At least DeCastro is trying. He's flailing around like a fat man in a kiddie pool, determined to drown himself without realizing that fat floats better than anything as sharks come to play reverse bobbing for apples. But that's another night terror for another time. He's at least got a captivated yet shrinking audience to expose his fun to every night. The rest of these people? Dear God, did they just forget? Eliminate Anselmo. He gave up nearly immediately. Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova hasn't had a donation in 29 days. Craig Hendry hasn't had a donation in 3 months. Garrett Press with Ranker Van Net is also stuck at 3 months without a donation. Christopher Direct D. Ruff got a donation the other day of $10, but it had been 23 days before that for his last donation. All of Jose Chile DeCastro's funds are doing okay with recent donations, except for his next criminal case, the Legal Defense Fund Crime Scene Tape Illegal Arrest Fund, which hasn't seen a dime in 2 months now, and isn't likely to, since he's either forgotten about it or given up on it. Skipping the two parody accounts as they're not relevant. For Public Safety hasn't seen a donation in a month. Then LIA is all over the place with his unlawful arrest and constitutional rights violation fund going 15 days without a donation, his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption fund going 20 days without a donation. The Fund Legal Defense Against Unlawful Arrest fund is doing okay with a donation 3 days ago and one 22 days before that. His Help with Criminal Defense Attorney for this case fund going a whopping 6 months without a donor. LIA's Help LIA with Legal Fees to Fight Tyrants Lawsuit Fund hasn't seen a donation in 3 months. Rounding out the list, his Help with Billboard Truck Purchase to Expose Tyranny Fund hasn't seen a dime in over 20 days. You know Anselmo, you know our fund. The difference with our fund is that I actually promote it daily in some way, and I have one fan who keeps us going either out of spite to make us start our day by writing this column, or they're fattening us up to serve to Glenn Serio when the prophecy comes true and the moon turns blood red, and he needs the blood of a financial reporter to fuel his, "Hey, never, foul creature, you will never sacrifice me to Glenn Serio." Rose has dibs. I'm thinking she's trading me in for a combo washer-dryer, but that's digressing. There's something wrong here. There's something terribly wrong here. It's not just the heat, it's apathy, it's stupidity, it's ego. The days of money being thrown at auditors without working for it seems to be over even for Chili DeCastro. As the market goes, so does DeCastro. Any bets on the number of days before we hit goose eggs again? Come to my live stream tonight. Tell us your pick in side chat. If you'd like to join our daily hate watcher and forcing me to write this column every day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Wallace returns to streaming. Floyd Wallace made his grand return to live streaming Tuesday night after time off battling severe depression, lack of work, lack of donations, and overall inadequateness before making a decision to return to streaming. Wallace started the live stream by announcing that he would be leaving the United States in either August or September to return to Colombia for at least 3 months. The date is in flux as Wallace has a court date in Norman, Oklahoma for jury selection in early August for charges of obstruction of a police officer from last year. The YouTuber claimed that his attorney said he'd tried to quash the charges, which have lingered without a court date for most of a year now, before getting a date to select the jury. As the charges were relatively minor, Wallace doesn't seem to want to take a plea deal in the case. Wallace indicated that a primary goal in leaving the United States was the fact that he is unable to find sexual partners in the U.S. He previously claimed that he paid to play in America while in Nebraska earlier this year, but otherwise had not had intercourse with anyone since returning from his overseas trip. One of the benefits of Colombia, according to Wallace, was the ease of finding sex, though he did complain that a lot of the girls he knew would not talk to him while he was in the country, yet texted him constantly to come back once he left. He added the high cost of living in Texas as another thing motivating him to leave, though he said he never considered fully leaving the United States and giving up his citizenship. He said that he would maintain his apartment even if no one was living in it, as he needed something to fall back on if things went sour outside of the United States. On the issue of donations, the YouTuber promised that when he gets back to Colombia and Brazil, he would force himself to go to clubs for the entertainment of his audience. He felt that if he made the content members only, he would get around YouTube censorship, as the music industry would not strike private videos for using their music, and he needed to offer incentives for membership. Wallace claimed that viewers would return to giving him donations soon, as those who had been turned off by him using money pledged to overseas trips to pay for his car and living expenses had either left his channel or would forgive him about lying about what he used the money for. He then pledged to use all of his Super Chat and Cash App donations he received for his next trip to Colombia. DeCastro loses the plot. Like the kid who came home from summer camp and wouldn't shut up about his experience and would bore you every day with how great summer camp was and how many friends he had made and how he was the big man on campus until you either beat him up the side of the head with a stick or you find a way to avoid him for the rest of your life. Jose Chili DeCastro shared his jail stories last night again. In an address that went over 3 hours and started well after 8 p.m. on the East Coast, DeCastro started on about jail life and kept going and going and going, losing his audience from an observed 370-ish live viewers down from Monday, and his point before finally trying to recover and go into his standard cop-watching videos. YouTube says his video has done 10,752 views at this moment in time, 1,000 likes, and 27 comments. I don't believe it for a second, but yeah, okay. That's down and doesn't explain who these people are, as mysterious jumps in viewing numbers don't come when most Americans are even awake. Bot farms in India and Russia never sleep, but we'd never accuse anyone of buying subs. It's just none of it makes sense. Chili is back. After hundreds and hundreds of days in the hole, cutting himself shaving in front of a polished aluminum mirror, not being able to spread Nutella or Nutella substitute on his private parts and parade around at the afternoon tea party with James the assistant and Charlie, he signed Assistant James to one hella NDA, you can be sure of that. He was supposed to be spitting fire and brimstone brimstone, riding a Harley out of hell and bringing on the dogs of war against the entire legal system in the state of Nevada. He was supposed to scare the piss out of any YouTube creator who even thought of using his content or his name or Charlie's name or anything related to him on the internet. He was supposed to be rolling in buck. His $100,000 campaign to throw a party for himself was supposed to be funded immediately, and his fans covering him in gold like the Inca god he wants to be. And DeCastro blew it. In my GoFundMe column that you just ignored, I've been saying that he blew his timing for the return. He should have gone live the day he was released from jail. Broken tooth, bloated belly, and weird haircut, standing defiantly outside of lockup and demanding justice. He would have probably hit $10K out of his $100K goal for the GoFundMe and at least gained another week before the decline set in. Especially if he followed his release up with good old-fashioned fire and brimstone, striking accounts with fake copyright strikes left and right, and by God, bringing hell on earth back, like in his old terror campaigns against anyone who mentioned him. But no, it's been 3 days and live streams, and he's moaning about what he did at summer camp, how thin the blankets and padding were, how he couldn't watch what he wanted on TV, how the minimum security facility was a living hell on earth, and the people were dumb, with addicts, the homeless, and mentally ill surrounding him, and the jail thinking he belonged there with these people. He may have said more, but I wasn't there. Honestly, he could have pulled out his little Chilean sang Yankee Doodle, and I would have been there to watch. It was after 9 p.m. on the East Coast. He started awfully with another dream session about what he did in summer camp, and you couldn't have paid me to sit through it live. 4 a.m. now, and I'm searching for anything else to cover and cursing the damn other auditors for being so lazy that there's nothing else to write about, and this is not how to start a revolution. Do better. Just stop the summer camp stories, for God's sakes. Someone tip my GoFundMe, please. I'm gonna need to be able to afford mental health insurance if we go another week of this. You know there will be another week of this. Maybe he was better off in jail. Flashback, June 17, 2023. Benson pays tribute to Cowboy. Regan Benson went live on Saturday from the Ruby Hill Park in Denver to celebrate the life of Steve Cowboy Olson, who Benson described as one of the 6 homeless people who have died since last September after working with Benson. Benson's footage started a couple hours into the event, which she previously described as the only event she would use as homeless outreach by her Helping Hands for Dignity coalition for the entire year. The sparsely populated event saw Benson distribute a variety of hygiene-related items, clothing, and food to a small gathering of homeless attendees. Benson explained that she waited to live stream until towards the end of the event, as it was emotionally rough and there was music playing by an unrelated group throughout the afternoon. Benson took time to introduce Cowboy's daughter Destiny, who was on hand to accept her father's ashes. Destiny explained that she never knew much about her dad's life and his hardships on the streets of Denver. She always worried about his living on the streets, and when the time came, she was thankful someone was there to help him bring his story to an end. The homeless activist claimed that Cowboy had received a phone call the Friday before his death that he had been approved for an apartment in Denver through Denver's Homeless Services. Benson stated that she and Destiny have paired in handling their part in the investigation into Cowboy's death by Adams County, Colorado. Flashback to July 17, 2023. Defense files motion to prevent DeCastro from practicing law in Wallace case. In a second potentially devastating move to Jose Chile DeCastro, the defense in Floyd Wallace's Las Vegas-based federal civil rights lawsuit filed motions to dismiss the case and a motion to prevent DeCastro from illegally serving as Wallace's legal representation in the case. Addressing the latter first, motion to prevent DeCastro from practicing law without a license was made by attorney Craig R. Anderson of Marquis Arbach, who is representing the firm in Jose DeCastro's own lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Force. Being keenly aware of DeCastro's filing, Anderson provided charts to demonstrate how DeCastro cut and pasted his own lawsuit, changing minor details to reflect Wallace's case. He asserts that DeCastro was so involved with the filing that he both fundraised for the filing fees to file the case and served as Wallace's courier to file the case himself. He also noted that in his haste to file the motion, DeCastro even included the same typos in Wallace's lawsuit that he made in his own filing. Anderson stated, "It appears both DeCastro and plaintiff have an axe to grind with LVMPD, and DeCastro has assisted plaintiff in bringing a trumped-up, frivolous suit. Plaintiff will be pursuing vigorously 29 where there was reasonable suspicion for plaintiff's detention and probable cause for his arrest. DeCastro has not only been assisting plaintiff with the case, but also appears to be soliciting his services for any of his viewers who may be interested in the future, which would mean that this could be a continuous issue moving forward. Thus, the court should issue an order to permanently preclude DeCastro from the unauthorized practice of law." In the same motion, Anderson also sought to have Wallace's filing stricken from the record as it was improperly filed, as it was prepared by someone who was unlicensed to provide legal services. At the very minimum, it requests that DeCastro be prohibited from participating or providing legal advice to Wallace as the case progresses. Anderson also authored the motion to dismiss Wallace's case, essentially asking for all of Wallace's complaints to be dismissed, as they do not provide grounds to show for his entitlement of relief. The attorney systematically went through each of Wallace's accusations, from racial profiling to assault and battery, and attempted to demonstrate how each of the actions were justifiable under Nevada law. The attorney also goes after Wallace's case for improperly making a Monell claim, as well as alleges a number of improper actions, but fails to state how any of the complaints are constitutional violations. Wallace has offered no facts to support his claims or even made a specific claim against the officers involved in the case. Anderson is seeking a complete dismissal of the lawsuit. This is a breaking news story. Whoa, whoa, whoa! If you do that for a Klondike bar, then how can you look your rabbi in the eye the next day? Ew, that's nasty. Nasty. Nasta. Miss Jackson, if you ask me. Whoops, we're back on the air. Has it been a year since Regan Benson's tribute to Cowboy? One thing we did know that the man who supposedly had been stalking her and attacked her in 2022 had shown up during that live stream. He was the reason she was a little on edge. Also, it's been a year since Chili DeCastro was helping Floyd Wallace? Yep, things go downhill fast through the rest of the summer for the pair. DeCastro tried to position Wallace as his field replacement auditor until Wallace tried to audit Heather Dollahide's underwear and a friend with it, and DeCastro supposedly had to pay off Dollahide to make the accusations go away. Fun times to be had by all. In programming notes, we'll be doing this produced show and the live watch party every night. We're cutting back the panel shows for the rest of the week due to a major change in the background of the art production we do for our shows. It's a pretty long and boring story right now, but suffice it to say that we have a lot of work to do if we ever want to get our Karen Reed as Gollum screen grabs out to you. Oh yes, one day, my precious, my precious, my precious. On that note, we're out of here for another night again. Stay classy. Remember, if Tom Robertson makes you his precious, you're precious for life. Good night, everyone.